So my friends, let me come again. Yesterday we have completed these all basic commands. What is the use of enable? What is the use of show version? What is the use of show flash? Okay, and what is the use of show IP interface brief? So we will be going again with all these commands, and then we will move to another commands. Okay. Okay. So let me open one new lab. So okay, so yesterday what I told you that I'll be guiding you on GNS3 also. So whenever you will open GNS3, okay, so you will get like blank like this. Okay, so first what you have to do, you have to come to this folder. Okay, you will click here, new blank project. So you have to click on this and then you have to write a project name. So suppose I'm talking about basic configuration lab 1. So you just write like this and then click OK. Okay, so now you have this white background. In that, now you can add routers. So you say, okay, I want router. Okay, so any of the router you can take. Okay, so these are some old routers and these are new routers. Okay, so whatever routers you want, you can take. So let's take this new router. Okay, new router means what? The new version of the router. Same like your XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10 and Windows 11. So these are, you can say, these are the new updated routers with updated operating system, Cisco iOS operating system. Okay. So now I just took one router. Let's take another router, router 2, and we will be connecting these both routers together. So you can see here, maybe if the routers are like this, so if they are not in sequence, so I just to align them, you can select both the router and click here, align them. Okay, just to make your scenario in a better view. Okay, so now here you can click this cable. Okay, and now here when you will click here, you will get two options. You want to connect which type of cable, Ethernet cable or serial cable. So you can click here to Ethernet. Okay, and now you can click again to another Ethernet for connecting the Ethernet cable to the routers, because I told you yesterday we can use two type of cable in the routers, Ethernet and serial. So I'm using Ethernet, and then here you can click on this ABC to just to know the port name of the Ethernet. So on router 1 I'm using E0 by 0, and on router 2 I'm using E0 by 0 port number. Port number can be same and port number can be different, no problem, but port type must be same. So this is my router 1, this is my router 2. Okay, and now here you can take network. So which network you are taking? Okay, so the network range, you can take anyone from this. Okay, so if you know the subnet, so I'm using 30 subnets. 30 subnets means there will be only point to point connectivity, means there will be only two IP address between R1 and R2. Okay, so now what you can do here, now you can take some computers here. So I'm just taking few computers, drag and drop. See, just take, you click here if you want computers, so just drag and drop. If you want switch, you click here on the switch, just drag and drop. Okay, and here what you can right click, change host name if you want to change host name. So I'm just using switch 1 like this. Now if you want another switch, right click, click on duplicate to have another switch. It's very simple. Okay, if you want to change the icon of the switch, select both switch, right click. Okay, change symbol, and now you can come here to change the symbol, just to make some like to view authentic, okay, to look like a real switch. So you can come here and select here L2 switch. So I will share these all symbols with you. See, now it's looking like a real switch. Okay. Even if the routers, if you want to change the router symbol to look like authentic router or real router, so you come to change symbol, and then here in the symbol we have routers also. I will show you the routers. Okay, see, it's looking like a real router. Because see, when you will go to the company, you have to design the network first to be implemented. It's not that you can go directly and implement. Okay, so router, then you have switch, and then you have PC. Okay, PC also, if you want to change the symbol, right click, change symbol. Okay, so there are many symbols, but these symbols you will not get default. It's already shared with you all. I have shared with Google Drive to you also. You can go and get it from there. Okay, so this is the way how we can create our labs. Okay, you just select and drag and drop option is there if you want to move your devices. And I told you about the alignment. You can just select all and click align horizontally. It will be aligned properly, so your design will be perfect. Okay, and now talking about connectivity. So see, from router to switch, we have to always use Ethernet cable. Okay, so there is no other option. Okay, because router to switch always Ethernet, no serial. Serial is only reserved for routers to router. Okay, and PC to switch always Ethernet. PC to switch always Ethernet. Again, come here to PC to this switch always Ethernet. Okay. So now these are some ports which are not important. You can remove it from here to get clear view of your diagram. Only this port is important, which is router port. Switch ports are not important. Okay. So now you can see here this IP. So this IP is known as public IP or WAN IP. Okay. Public IP or WAN IP. And this WAN IP will be always on your router exit interface. Okay. Means the router edge interface which is connecting to another router. Okay. Okay, and here we will have LAN IP address, LAN IP or LAN subnet. You can say LAN subnet. Why I'm using subnet? Okay, subnet or network, it's the same thing. Subnet means what? It's a small network. Network is the large network. That's it. So here we have very small network, right? So which type of uh, IP pool you are selecting? So it's a small network, so I will select IP address from class C, right? Your understanding, because I cannot take class A, class B, because those IP will be wasted, right? Because my network is very small. So I'm going to use 192.168.10.0/28. I will not take the larger one. Okay. Now here also I will take 20.28. Okay. Now we are talking about configuration. So first of all, we have to start all the devices. You click here, start all the devices. And then you can take a console. So you just click here to the console to have the console of all the devices except switch, because switch is layer 2 switch. When you have layer 3 switch, then you will get the console for connectivity. So right now we have to configure only router and PC for communication purpose. Okay. So let's come to your router 1, router 1, router 2. So we came here to router 1. So router 1 has how many interfaces? We have only two interface, E0/0 and E0/1. Okay, so first of all we will configure here conf t. Okay. So first of all you have to write conf t because you are on privilege mode. Now you are moving to configuration mode. So configure terminal, you type configure terminal or you type conf t to move to configuration mode. Now we are configuring the interface. So on router 1 we have two interface. So let's configure the both interface. So I'll type here interface E0/0 IP address. IP address is 12.1.1.1 and the subnet mask as it is, like if it is 30 means the subnet mask is 253, and then here I will write no shutdown. Okay. Now I'll type here exit, means I have configured my one interface, and then again I will come here interface E0/1, which is the part of my LAN network. You can come and see here E0/1 is a part of my LAN network. Okay, E0/0 is my, you can write here one thing, WAN port, WAN port. This is your WAN port. Okay, E0/0 is your WAN port and E0/1 is your LAN port. Okay, so now come here, then type IP address 192.168.10.1 and the subnet mask is /28, so it will be 240, and then now you will ask that how I'm getting that it will be 240 or something like that. No problem, let me show you again. Maybe if you need some guidance. See, if it is /24, any IP address, for example 192.168.10.0/24, so what will be my subnet mask? My subnet mask will be like this, right? Is it okay? Why? Because I have 24 bits on. Now if I'm using this 10.0/25, and in that condition my subnet mask will be like this. 128. Why? Because I'm using one extra bit. Okay. Then again, if your IP will be like this, 10.0/26 equal to 255.255.255.192. Okay. So you can keep this in your mind always. Okay. 2427. 240 is 28. 248 if it is 29 bit. Here you can see here 252 if it is 30. That's it. You can go up to 32, but those are not important. Okay. So this is the bit calculation. Okay. Subnet mask, you can say. Mask upon bits. Okay, so you can see here I have /28. That's why I have written my subnet mask as a 255.255.255.240. Okay, and here I have /30, right? That's why I have written here as a subnet mask on the interface 255.255.255.252. Okay, and but if it will be normal, like see, this IP belongs to class A, right? But if it is normal, if I will just write like this, okay, so the subnet mask will be different. But here I have written /30, so subnet mask will be different. Okay, and why we need to do like this? To just to summarize the network. Okay, so now let's come again to the configuration. We on router 1, you can see here, this is your router 1. Router 1, we have two interface, E0 by 0 and E0 by 1. And those things we have already configured here, E0 by 0 and E0 by 1. So here I have configured this, and here related to that subnet 12 IP 12.1.1.1, and here I have configured 192.168.10.1 IP address, because you can use any IP address from that range. Okay, and now here you can have this. So now listen, let's come here to let me explain you something. So if we are let me explain something regarding IP address, so you will understand more. So suppose this is our scenario. In this scenario, we have selected this subnet, right? This subnet, this subnet. So if I'm selecting this subnet, means how many IP address we can have in this area. In this area means only this area. So here we can use only two IP address. Only two IP address. And what is that two IP address? Let me write it here. That IP address I can use. See, total there will be four IP address. Let me tell you. If you have /30, okay. So total four IP address. And why total four IP address? If it is /12.1.1.0/30 means The subnet mask, so the subnet mask is 255.255.255.252, right? So by default we have 256 IP address, right? So 256 minus 252. So total how many IP addresses we have? 4 IP addresses. Understand that? 4 IP addresses. Okay. So when we have 4 IP addresses, so the first IP address will be known as network IP. So what will be the network IP? See here, 12.1.1.0. Then there will be start IP. What will be the start IP address? So start IP address will be 12.1.1.1. What will be the last IP? So last IP will be 12.1.1.2. And what will be the broadcast IP? That will be 12.1.1.3. Okay, that's why it's written. See, I cannot use 0, I cannot use 3 because these are broadcast and network ID. So I can use only this 2 IP address. So this 2 IP address is only valid. That's why I have told you here we can use only 2 IP address. Okay, now let's come to know about this. In this subnet, how many IP addresses we can use here? So here total we have 16 IP. Total we have 16 IP addresses in this subnet, in this total subnet, but we can use only 14 because 2 will be minus. 14 IP is valid in this pool. But how? Let's calculate again. Okay, so this is our WAN subnet. So let me write here, this is our WAN subnet. And now we are talking about our LAN subnet. So let's come to our LAN subnet. So our LAN subnet is 192.168.10.0/28. So when it is like this, then the subnet mask is 255.255.255.240. Okay, now same here, we have total IP address in single network is 256. Okay, single block you can say, so 256. So 256 minus 240, this the last one, this 240, 240. So we have total 16 IP address, right? Sixteen IP addresses. So if it is 16, so how we are going to write it? So first is network IP. So network IP is 192.168.10.0. Then start IP. Start IP is 192.168.10.1. And last IP. Okay, so last IP will be your 192.168.10.14, and broadcast IP will be your 192.168.10.15. Okay, so this 2 IP address will be used for network ID and broadcast ID, and these from 1 to 14 means total 14 IP address will be in use. Okay, and if you want to verify, let's come and verify. So if you want to verify that, okay, do these IP addresses are valid or invalid? 0 and 15. Okay, so now let's come here. For example, if you want to check, let's come here. So if I'm coming here, you type int or interface is the same thing. Interface is 0 by 0. So here I have told you that so here I told you that 0 and 3 is invalid, 1 and 2 is valid. So if I'm writing IP address 12.1.1.2 to 1, for example, 252, see it accepted, right? And if I will write like this, 2, 255, 255, 255, 252, it accepted, right? But if I'm writing like this, for example, if you will say, okay, you have used 1 and 2, let's try with 0. Okay, see, bad mask. Why bad mask? Because I'm using /30 subnet, right? Now, okay, now you will tell, okay, let's try with that IP address. Interface is 0 by 0, IP address 12.1.1.3, 255, 255, 255, 252. See, again, bad subnet. Why? Because network ID you cannot assign on your interface, and broadcast IP you cannot assign on your interface. So you can only assign which is valid IP address. Okay. Now let's come here. Let's try with that IP address. So let me change it to the correct one according to our scenario. Is 0 by 0 IP address 12.1.1.1 and no shut. So this is okay. Now let's come here. Interface is 0 by 1 for a testing purpose. Now IP address 192.168.10.0 255.255.255.240. See, bad subnet mask. And if I'm using this same another IP, which one? 10.15. Interface is 0 by 1. 10.15 and the subnet. See, again bad. But if I will use any IP between the range of 1 to 14, it will be accepted. Because remember, I have used 1. See, 1 is accepted. Even if you want 2, 2 will be accepted. 3 will be accepted. Will be accepted. Any IP will be accepted. If you want to see whether 14 will be accepted or not, any IP address will be accepted. Okay, so now let me put the default one what I have assigned. Okay, so now let me show you. Okay, now come to our scenario. Come here. Router 1 configuration. So on router 1, what we have configured, it's here in front of you. This is your router 1 configuration. Okay. Now router 1 is 0 by 0, but router 1 has 2 interface. So let's come again. And take this. Now this is the second configuration. Okay. Now we are configuring router 2. So let's come again to the router 2. So see, router 1 is done. Now come to router 2. You click here on the top, you will see router 2. Now click enter. Now router 2 configuration. Simple conf interface E0 by 0. Sorry, interface E0 by 0. IP address 12.1.1.2. Why? Because 1 is already used by router 1. So I'll be using here router 1, router 2 IP address. No shut. Then again interface E0 by 1 IP address 192.168.20.1.240. No shut. Simple. Now copy this. Come here. Now router 2 configuration. Okay. In router 2 configuration, what we have configured. Now right click and duplicate. Let me show you. Router 2, router 2. Okay. What we have configured here, we have configured this one, right? Now on router 2 again, what we have configured 20 same. Okay. Okay. So our router 1 and router 2 configuration is done. Now we are going to verify the configuration, the IP configuration. So come to router 1, type here and or exit, depends on you what you want to type. Now here you type here, so IP interface brief, enter. So if you're typing like this, see, you have lots of interface, but you have configured only two interface, which is E0 by 0 and E0 by 1. But if you want to see only those interface which is configured, so type this and type here exclude unassigned, and then see, you're getting only this. See here. If you type this command, so you'll get only those interface information who have IP addresses. Okay. Now again come copy this command, come here to router 2, again type and then paste. Right click, when you will right click here, automatically it will be pasted. Now see, so according to scenario, our IP address is here. So our router 1 and router 2 configuration is done. Now we are configuring IP address. Okay, so for configuring IP in the PC, you just type IP and IP address what is free to assign. So I'm using 192.168.10.2. Okay, and what subnet mask you are using? /28. Okay, and what will be the default gateway? Default gateway means the router interface. So LAN port interface will be the gateway of these computers. Okay, so if I'm talking about gateway of these computers, okay, so IP is 10.2, but the gateway will be this LAN IP, not this one. Okay, this LAN IP address of the router E0 by 1 will be the gateway of these computers. Okay, so you come here, gateway, assign this, okay, click enter. Again copy, come here to save time. Okay, so this is the method to assign IP address on the PCs. 20.1 is the gateway and IP is 20.2. Why 20.2? Because 20.1 is already assigned on the router E0 by 1. Oh, sorry, 20 by. Okay. Now, if you are coming on the PCs to verify, if you're typing here on PC to check IP address, just type so IP. Okay. On router you have to type so IP interface brief, and here you have to type only so IP. Okay. Okay. Now we wanted to save the configuration, so let's see how we are going to save the configuration. Okay, so when we are talking to save the configuration, so if I'm on router 1, if I want to save the configuration, you have two command you have. One is copy running configuration to a startup config, means copy the configuration which is running, because I have not saved right now. Okay, he's saying that copy running configuration means this your configuration is not saved. Now please save to nvram. Okay, so this is the command, or you can simply write memory. Okay, or you can simply write, or you can simply just write wr. So you have four options, so whatever you like you can use. Copy running configuration to a startup config, write memory, or write, or just wr, simple, to save the configuration. So come to router 2, I want to save, just write wr save. On PC you have to type save like this. Okay, PC is different. Okay, so on PC you have to type save, enter. What is the benefit of saving this configuration? Because once your system will be restart or something, when you will close the lab, still the labs will be with you, means still the configuration will be with you. Okay, now suppose, remember here I have used one command, like on router 1 I have used one command, so IP interface brief exclude unassigned, long command, right? But there are some options that you can reduce this command, you can make your own command. Okay, those are known as alias command. Okay, how we can make? Normally, suppose I want to make the alias of this command, I want to short this command, but this command will be only local to the router, it's not that it will be deployed to all the routers. Okay, you are using this shortcut method, you are creating, maybe you are the administrator of your own network, you can, instead of typing this long command, you can create your own command. Okay, so how you can create? Come to configuration mode, conf t, type here alias execute. Okay, then you can type here simple command like so IP. Okay, this is the shortcut I want to make. And what is the full command? So IP interface beef exclude sign. Okay, so this will be your shortcut command. So the long command is this one, and now you're going to reduce that to a single your own command, SIP, simple like that. Okay, so enter. And now you can type here end, right to save, and now see, now you just type SIP, see. But if you will type this SIP here, it will not work. SIP, see, it's not working, it's saying that bad. Okay, it's the wrong command, unknown command. Okay, but again, if you want to use the same command for this router 2 also, just copy this and come here to router 2, conf t, paste this, save, and then type SIP. So it's working. So you can make shortcut command of any command. Okay, suppose if I'm using this command, suppose I'm writing right this command to save the configuration, right? Or I'm using copy running config to startup config, this command. So if you want to make the alias of this command also, you can make the alias of this command. Okay, see how you can make. Okay. See, alias save. So right now I'm using this save, okay, of which command? Copy running config to a startup config. Okay, now your command is save. So either you can write save is also for same thing, or you can write C. But if you'll come on router 2 and if you'll try to write save, see, it will give you error. Okay, see, error is there. The SIP is working. Okay, and always keep in mind the router commands are not case sensitive. Okay. Okay, but if I want to use the same formula of alias to reduce the command, I can use the here also. Same command. Even if you want, you can use your own name also. It's not that. See, maybe let me use my own name. Okay, now see. See, so you can use anything. So alias is what? Alias is just to make the duplication of your long command. So if you have long command, you can reduce it to shorter one. Okay. Now let's move to another option. Now, see, let me open packet tracer. Okay. So now if I'm going to take one router here and if you'll on this router, okay. Here you are getting router. So there are no names on the routers. Okay. So when you want to assign the names on the router, and why we should assign the names on the router, okay, to identify your routers in the network. So suppose if you have 10 routers, okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So if I will tell you, okay, go on router 7. So how you will know that, okay, I have to go to router 7. Okay. So if you will on this, name is also same. See here, name is same. If you will come here, name is same. Okay, name is same. So you will get confused where to go. That's why every routers in your organization, you have to change the name of the router. So easily you can go on the routers. So see, this is simulated with the GNS3. That's why automatically name is there. Okay. See, when you drag and drop, automatically names are there for the routers. Router 3, router like 4, like that. Okay. So if you'll take another router, see router 4. So in GNS3 names are there, but in the real network, it is not like that. Okay. So if you want, you can change the name. So simply you can come here on router 1, see how to change the name. Okay. You can come here to conf t, you type here host name. You can say network router 1 or Gambia router 1. Okay. See, it has been changed now. And then you have to save. For saving, which command we have to use? Save. See, it's not working. Why? Because we are on configuration mode and we are typing the save alias command, okay, of privilege mode. So here I told you type do and then type save, it will work. Okay, but save is not a command. Don't think that save is command. Save, we have made our own alias command. Okay, so we have to use something original, which is copy running configuration to a startup config or write. Okay, now here you can come here, const host name Gambia router 2. See, name has been changed. Do write, configuration is saved. Okay, now suppose if these are my routers, right? But if suppose, maybe let me exit from this router, exit, or you can say log out. Is it like, yes, exit or log out, both is working. So I logged out, you can see here. Okay, and but if I logged out and I went to my home and I am the administrator to configure the router or to work on this router. But if I will not put security on this router, same like our laptop or computer, somebody will enter and see, and he will start configuring the router, right? So we should secure our router. Okay, so how to secure our router, how to secure our switches, how to put password. Okay, so these all things we will be working in our next lesson. Okay, these are basic configuration. Okay, just to configure IP address. And now let me tell you, router 1, if router 1 wants to communicate ping to 12.1.1.2 to router 2. See, router 1 is easily communicating to router 2. Why? Because they are in a same subnet. But if PC1 is trying to communicate, see, PC1 belongs to different subnet, but if PC1 will try to communicate with PC3, which is in a different subnet too, so you can see here 20.2 in, if he's trying to communicate, see, destination host unreachable, because they are in a different subnet. Okay, so only router is connected, but there is no routing. Okay, so when you will configure routing, then this PC1 will be able to communicate to PC3 and 4. Okay, so first, after this lesson, we will be working on our second lesson will be like this: how to secure our networking devices. Then after that, we will be working on routing introduction. Means we will come to know about routing introduction first, introduction, and then we'll move to routing configuration. Okay. So till now you work on this subnet calculation, you must know about the subnet calculation, that okay, how subnet calculations are working. Okay, it's not that if I'll give you something like okay /29, you'll say okay, how that /29 came. Okay, because I already told you about this subnet calculation in IP address and in subnetting class. Okay, so this is the command for configuring routers. Okay, router IP address, you can say, because there are many things in router. Okay, so this is for router IP address configuration. So today we just came to know how to configure router IP addresses and how to configure IP in PCs. Okay, and how we are going to connect the devices. Okay, which cable will be used for connecting the devices. So I gave you the example that when you are connecting router to router, you have to use serial or Ethernet. But when you are using router to switch or PCs, you have to use only Ethernet. Now one more thing, suppose maybe by mistake you remove this 0 to here and this E0 by 0. It's because maybe somebody has changed it. And when you will try to configure, so by default you will configure this E0 by one IP address with 12.1.1.1.2, right, with the wrong configuration. Okay, so before configuring the devices, you just keep your mouse on this. See, automatically it will see link from R1 port number E0/0 to R1 port E0/0, means this port is wrong, so you have to take this one like this. Okay, again, if you put your mouse here, automatically they'll tell you link from switch to port number 0 Ethernet 0 to router to port E0/1. So okay, no problem, it's correct. Now again come here, you just put here, it will tell you. So before configuring, check everything and then configure. Okay, so we are going to end now. Okay, and the remaining session we will start the like what I told you with the how to secure the networking device and the routing introduction and routing configuration. Okay, in our next coming classes. Okay, meanwhile, if you have any doubt, meanwhile you can work on subnetting calculation. Okay, and guys, I have given you IPv6 assignments. Please work on IPv6 assignment and share with me, okay, before next class.